तेजोमय निजाश्रमाय नमः। तेजोमय निजाश्रमाय नमः। ओम दमितानंग संग्रामाय नमः। दमितानंग संग्रामाय नमः। ओम दरहासजितांगनाय नमः। दरहासजितांगनाय नमः। ओम दयारससुधा सिंधवे नमः। दयारससुधा सिंधवे नमः। ओम दरिद्रधनशेवदये नमः। दरिद्रधनशेवदये नमः। ओम क्षीरेन्दुस्फटिकाकाराय नमः। क्षीरेन्दुस्फटिकाकाराय नमः। ओम क्षीरेन्दुमुकुटोज्ज्वलाय नमः। क्षीरेन्दुमुकुटोज्ज्वलाय नमः। ओम क्षीरोपहाररसिकाय नमः। क्षीरोपहाररसिकाय नमः। ओम क्षिप्रैश्वर्यफलप्रदाय नमः। क्षिप्रैश्वर्यफलप्रदाय नमः। ओम नानाभरणमुग्धांगाय नमः। नानाभरणमुग्धांगाय नमः। ओम नारीसम्मोहनाकृतये नमः। नारीसम्मोहनाकृतये नमः। ओम नादब्रह्मरसास्वादिने नमः। नादब्रह्मरसास्वादिने नमः। ओम नागभूषणभूषिताय नमः। नागभूषणभूषिताय नमः। ओम मूर्तिनिन्दितकन्दर्पाय नमः। मूर्तिनिन्दितकन्दर्पाय नमः। ओम मूर्तामूर्तजगद्वपुषे नमः। मूर्तामूर्तजगद्वपुषे नमः। ओम मूलाज्ञानतमोभानवे नमः। मूलाज्ञानतमोभानवे नमः। ओम मूर्तिमत्कल्पपादपाय नमः। मूर्तिमत्कल्पपादपाय नमः। ओम तरुणादित्यसङ्काशाय नमः। तरुणादित्यसङ्काशाय नमः। ओम तन्त्रीवादनतत्पराय नमः। तन्त्रीवादनतत्पराय नमः। ओम तरुमूलैकनिलयाय नमः। तरुमूलैकनिलयाय नमः। ओम तप्तजाम्बूनदप्रभाय नमः। तप्तजाम्बूनदप्रभाय नमः। ओम तत्त्वपुस्तोलसत्पाणये नमः। तत्त्वपुस्तोलसत्पाणये नमः। ओम तपनोडुपलोचनाय नमः। तपनोडुपलोचनाय नमः। ओम यमसंनुतसत्कीर्तये नमः। यमसंनुतसत्कीर्तये नमः। ओम यमसंयुताय नमः। यमसंयुताय नमः। ओम यतिरूपधराय मौनिने नमः। यतिरूपधराय मौनिने नमः। ओम यतीन्द्रोपास्य विग्रहाय नमः। यतीन्द्रोपास्य विग्रहाय नमः। ओम मंदारहाररुचिराय नमः। मंदारहाररुचिराय नमः। ओम मदनायुतसुन्दराय नमः। मदनायुतसुन्दराय नमः। ओम मंदस्मितलसत्वक्त्राय नमः। मंदस्मितलसत्वक्त्राय नमः। ओम मधुराधरपल्लवाय नमः। मधुराधरपल्लवाय नमः। ओम मंजीरमंजुपादाब्जाय नमः। ओम मणिपट्टोल्लसत्कटये नमः। ओम मणिपट्टोल्लसत्कटये नमः। ओम हस्तांकुरितचिन्मुद्राय नमः। हस्तांकुरितचिन्मुद्राय नमः। ओम हठयोगपरोत्तमाय नमः। हठयोगपरोत्तमाय नमः। ओम हंसजप्याक्षमालाढ्याय नमः। हंसजप्याक्षमालाढ्याय नमः। ओम हंसेद्वाराध्यपादुकाय नमः। हंसेद्वाराध्यपादुकाय नमः। ओम मेरुशृङ्गतटोल्लासाय नमः। मेरुशृङ्गतटोल्लासाय नमः। ओम मेघश्याम मनोहराय नमः। ओम मेघश्याम मनोहराय नमः। ओम मेधांकुरालवालाग्र्याय नमः। ओम मेधांकुरालवालाग्र्याय नमः। ओम मेधापक्वफलद्रुमाय नमः। ओम मेधापक्वफलद्रुमाय नमः। ओम धार्मिकांतर्गुहावासाय नमः। ओम धार्मिकांतर्गुहावासाय नमः। ओम धर्ममार्ग प्रवर्तकाय नमः। ओम धर्ममार्ग प्रवर्तकाय नमः। ओम धामत्रय निजारामाय नमः। ओम धामत्रय निजारामाय नमः। ओम धर्मोत्तम मनोरथाय नमः। ओम धर्मोत्तम मनोरथाय नमः। ओम प्रबोधोत्कार दीपश्रिये नमः। ओम प्रबोधोत्कार दीपश्रिये नमः। ओम प्रकाशित जगत्र्याय नमः। ओम प्रकाशित जगत्र्याय नमः। ओम प्रज्ञाचंद्रशिलाचंद्राय नमः। ओम प्रज्ञाचंद्रशिलाचंद्राय नमः। ओम प्रज्ञामणिवराकराय नमः। ओम प्रज्ञामणिवराकराय नमः। ओम ज्ञानांतरभासात्मने नमः। ओम ज्ञानांतरभासात्मने नमः। ओम ज्ञातृज्ञादिविदुरगाय नमः। ओम ज्ञातृज्ञादिविदुरगाय नमः। ओम ज्ञानज्ञाद्वैतदिव्यांगाय नमः। ओम ज्ञानज्ञाद्वैतदिव्यांगाय नमः। ओम ज्ञातृज्ञातिकुलागताय नमः। ओम ज्ञातृज्ञातिकुलागताय नमः। ओम प्रपन्नपारिजाताग्र्याय नमः। ओम प्रपन्नपारिजाताग्र्याय नमः। ओम प्रणतार्थ्यप्तिवाडवाय नमः। ओम प्रणतार्थ्यप्तिवाडवाय नमः। ओम भूतानां प्रमाणभूताय नमः। ओम भूतानां प्रमाणभूताय नमः। ओम प्रपंचहितकारकाय नमः। ओम प्रपंचहितकारकाय नमः। ओम यत्तत्त्वमसि संवेद्याय नमः। ओम यत्तत्त्वमसि संवेद्याय नमः। ओम यक्षगेयात्मवैभवाय नमः। ओम यक्षगेयात्मवैभवाय नमः। ओम यज्ञादिदेवतामूर्तये नमः। ओम यज्ञादिदेवतामूर्तये नमः। ओम यजमानवपुर्धराय नमः। ओम यजमानवपुर्धराय नमः। ओम छत्राधिपतिविश्वेशाय नमः। ओम छत्राधिपतिविश्वेशाय नमः। ओम छत्रसामरसेविताय नमः। ओम छत्रसामरसेविताय नमः। ओम छन्दशास्त्रादिनिपुणाय नमः। ओम छन्दशास्त्रादिनिपुणाय नमः। ओम छलजात्यादिदूरगाय नमः। ओम छलजात्यादिदूरगाय नमः। ओम स्वाभाविकसुखैकात्मने नमः। ओम स्वाभाविकसुखैकात्मने नमः। ओम स्वानुभूतिरसोदतये नमः। ओम स्वानुभूतिरसोदतये नमः। ओम स्वाराज्यसम्पदध्यक्षाय नमः। ओम स्वाराज्यसम्पदध्यक्षाय नमः। ओम स्वात्माराम महामतये नमः। ओम स्वात्माराम महामतये नमः। ओम हाटकाभजटाजूटाय नमः। ओम हाटकाभजटाजूटाय नमः। ओम हासोदस्तारिमण्डलाय नमः। ओम हासोदस्तारिमण्डलाय नमः। ओम हालाहलोज्ज्वलगलाय नमः। ओम हालाहलोज्ज्वलगलाय नमः। ओम हार्दग्रन्थिविमोचकाय नमः। ओम हार्दग्रन्थिविमोचकाय नमः। ओम श्री मेधा दक्षिणामूर्ति स्वामिने नमः। ओम श्री मेधा दक्षिणामूर्ति स्वामिने नमः। ओम श्री दयानंद सद्गुरुवे नमः। ओम श्री दयानंद सद्गुरुवे नमः। ओम श्री महेशानंद सद्गुरुवे नमः। ओम श्री महेशानंद सद्गुरुवे नमः। So I think what we will do, just to kind of a plan ahead. So you feel you can now chant together? You need to follow after me, or should we just launch into the next phase? What do you think? Okay to chant together from next time? Okay, we'll practice chanting together a few times. Then I think what we will do, as I had planned ahead, we will then start to study the meanings of each one of them. And so to do that, I'm thinking that I think you all have the book by Swami Tattvavidananda Ji. That was an interesting book because one time Swami Dayanand Ji asked him to write the Sanskrit commentary. You know, he's a scholar of Sanskrit. He has a PhD in Sanskrit. He's very good at that. Different level altogether. And so Swami Dayanand Ji, and there are not that many people who are that good in both Vedanta and in Sanskrit. So Puja Swami Dayanand Ji had asked him that why don't you try to see if you can give a commentary on the 108 names in Sanskrit. And so he was telling me when he used to come here, he used to stay with me. One morning we were just going for a walk, and he said, you know, it was a daunting challenge that Swamiji had given me, but I decided I'm going to do it. And he said, I made a promise to myself that either before breakfast or after breakfast, he would just do one verse and just do a commentary on it. And so he did this for 108 days and then made a book out of it, and it also has an English translation to it. So I think what we will do, maybe in the next couple of weeks or 2 or 3, we'll see how long it takes. Because if we start chanting together, that'll take only about 10 minutes or so. So that'll be very quick. And then we will spend the extra 20 minutes going over Swamiji's book and explanation in Sanskrit and also in English. And then I'll add my own thoughts to it as I understand it. So because it's a live class, and so we will do a little bit of explanation, some ideas and so on. So we will start to cover these from now on. It might take us a year and a half to finish everything, but it'll be fun to do, and you can take notes for yourself. Because the real meaning of chanting is, as you know, to really understand, there's a lot of meaning behind each one of these verses, and if we can understand that, that'll be so much better. So that's kind of like what I'm planning to do. You know, if you had any comments or questions about that.
You know, but the students of Dakshinamurti class will miss out this explanation of each.
So I think that it'll be there recorded, so they can listen to it. Because if we do this as you'd have to take up time away from the Stotram class, and I've resolved that I want to finish this in 1 year. Mm-hmm. I kind of, it might have even been your suggestions, I think, I remember this, but it's a good suggestion to promote it as a 1-year course. Yeah. Rather than a series of classes. Right. People want to have some kind of a, you know, when will it finish, how long will it do? And as a result, I think we're getting, I now have 56 students in this new class, and half of them are online, and about, I think, 10 or 11 are brand new. So it's very pleasing to do that. So if we take that time for explanation, and probably too advanced for some of the new ones anyway. So I think that will be good. We can at least have a separate section that we can store, that people can refer to. Mm-hmm. in the explanation of the 108 names, including the chanting, and then whole slowly, compilation of the meanings of it. It'll be good to do. So, okay, a little bit early, but let's get started. Oh, yes.
So who originally composed 108?
That's hard to tell.
I mean,
I don't
because-
know that.
Yeah.
It's certainly is a human effort.
Yeah.
So this is not composed, not as part of the Vedas. But I would say that, and this is one of the antiquity of our parampara, that you don't think about who does it, or the main thing is it so well done
Yeah.
that it becomes an accepted part of the prayer regimen of the students, and it has. So simply, same thing with Om Namah Shivaya and so on. So we don't know, really speaking.
Okay, not a Shankaracharya or
No.
Possibly somebody may have done it. Somebody obviously who's very scholarly.
because each word has its meaning.
His
Behind
meaning,
the
no
word.
doubt about it.
Yeah.
So in the, I'm not sure of the Sarasburg ashram, but in the Rishikesh ashram, so we have two Ashtottara Shatanamavali. One is the one in the morning, which is what we are chanting, and in this book, Deepa Radha, which I got from Rishikesh in one of my visits there, they also have one in the evening that they do, which is a different one. So there are 208 names. So there it says Om Sat Gurave Namaha, Om Sat Kritaye Namaha, Om Sakshat Brahma Rupaya Namaha, Om Sadashivaya Namaha, Om Sanakadi Munistutyaya Namaha. It's like that. There's 108 names also, which I have chanted a few times, but I don't know it by heart. The one in the morning I pretty much know by heart. And so these are different kinds of compositions that have come over the years. Who did that, I am not sure, and I'm sure it's available if somebody can find out. But okay, let's start. Om Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashyakrito Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavatyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Rukarastvandakaro Vai Rukarastanivartakaha Andakara Nirodhitvat Guruvitya Vidhiyate Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Masdhamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So let's chant the last verse of the Mandukya, number 12. Amatra Chaturtho Vyavaharyaha. And then the Karikas. Karika number 27 will start today, yes. So, the Mandukya number 12. Amatras chaturtho vyavaharyaha. Amatras chaturtho vyavaharyaha. Prapanchopashamaha. Shivodvaita eva monkaraha. Shivodvaita eva monkaraha. Atmaiva samvishati. Atmanaiva samvishati. Atmanaiva atmana atmanam ya evam veda. Atmana atmanam ya evam veda. Then number 27. Sarvasya pranavo hyadihi. Sarvasya pranavo hyadihi. Madhyamantastathaiva cha. Madhyamantastathaiva cha. Evam hi pranavam jnatva. Evam hi pranavam jnatva. Vyashnute tadanantaram. Vyashnute tadanantaram. So I think we covered it quite a bit last week, but there's still a couple of more things to go over that, and then we will go to number 28 today. So one thing that we should be very familiar with by now is the concept of transformation. Transformation from karana to karya, from cause to effect. So change, maybe transformation is too strong a word, but simply a change from karana to karya. So there are various ways of looking at the change from cause to effect, and we are familiar with that in our transactions. So one of them is what is called parinama karanam, or parinama, and the other one is what's called vivarta. So parinama means, and we actually saw the definition of parinama. Another definition of parinama, I would like to write it down somewhere. So Swami Dayanandaji's favorite definition of parinama was swaswarupa parityagena rupantara apattihi iti parinama. This is one definition of parinama. Then a similar definition, it's not as though it's a different, just some different words are used, and that was in Swami Maheshanandaji's book. And that was the one I gave you last time. It's here somewhere. Where is it? Yeah. It says, Tattvataha Anyatha bhavaha parinamaha. Tattvataha anyatha bhavaha parinama. Or the other definition is swaswarupa parityagena rupantara apattihi iti parinama. So that's one I've been growing with for the last 30-40 years. So what it means in English is that parinama is defined as a change in the status of a vastu where the original vastu is discarded. Tattvataha means meaningful, in truth. Anyatha bhava, a different bhava comes about. Or in the other definition, swaswarupa Aparityagena. So here the definition is that of the milk becoming, which is the common example given, milk becoming yogurt is a classical definition of parinama. Means swaswarupa means the swarupa of milk is now given up. Tattvataha anyatha bhavaha, and then rupantara apatti. A different form is now attained, is called parinama. So this is one type of transformation or change. The other one is called vivarta. And vivarta is just the opposite of that. So the classical definition that was done by Swami Dayanandji for a long time, we have been studying it. Swaswarupa aparityagena rupantara apatti. Without giving up the original form, taking up a new form is called vivarta. And here in this new definition, attattvataha anyatha bhava means that in reality it is not a new form, but it appears like a new form. And here the classical examples are a clay becoming a pot, or a gold becoming an ornament. We are about to go to India to attend my wife's nephew's wedding. The whole family is going, it's a big deal and so on. And it is really fascinating, all the things that are going on in the home. All the women, they are trying to decide what jewelry to wear. And there's all kinds of views. My wife has a view. She doesn't want to take any of the real jewelry that she has. She says, transporting it and worrying about it, it's not. Her mom, who's still alive, she's my mother-in-law, who's over 90 years old, she doesn't like this view of her daughter. She says, if you have some good jewelry, this is the time to wear it. So take it with you, doesn't matter. My wife says no. Because she takes a lot of delight in having this fake jewelry, which doesn't really cost very much, but it's pretty good. Most of the time people can't tell the difference. She says, I'm just going to take that. So I am, whether I'm in a hotel room or I'm traveling or something like that. So this is all going on, and there's a lot of examination. Okay, I think you should be wearing this for the mehndi, this for the sangeet. I think this looks better. What dresses are you wearing, and so on. All this is for the form of the jewelry. In this whole discussion, there is no discussion about gold and how much does it weigh, what is it worth, none of that. It's all about how it looks. And so the transactions are very real. There's a real, it's not as though they are doing make-believe or anything like this. This is important stuff, because there's a big wedding, a lot of people are going to come, and the women all look at each other and say, where did you get this from? Oh, this looks really nice on you. All those kinds of things have to do with the form. So we cannot say that really the form is not important, because it becomes a major part of the, in the acharyas, Swami Dayanandji used to also say that. So then they will say, it's the husband and wife, when they have accumulated some, and especially if you have daughters, this is very important. So you have to sort of figure out how much jewelry to leave for each of the daughters. And so they will say, I think for this, they'll decide for this wedding, we will give them so much gold. So when you say we will give them so much gold, they don't have a lump of gold that they give. What it means is how much jewelry we will give. And so they'll go to a goldsmith, weigh it all out, and say, okay, we can afford so much, maybe 1-2 lakhs of rupees for this or whatever, and please make something for her. So you can have a drishti towards form and a drishti towards the content of the form. And the drishti towards the form is without the content changing itself. This is the beauty of it. This is called vivarta. Why we are making such a big deal about it is because in our thinking, the student of the Vedanta's thinking, we have to understand that the entire so-called creation that Ishvara has made is not a parinama karanam, it's a vivarta karanam. And so, vivarta is a very important goal to have in our minds. That yet there is an apparent change, but there is no real change on the vastu itself. And in fact, I tell you, you can get a beautiful example of this. The whole idea of the dream is without changing, you have an appearance of a change. It washes out. It does a lot of things, it affects you, this, that, or the other, then it's gone. And in fact, the entire life, the entire progression of the jiva through various lives, everything, illnesses, death, good health, triumphs, everything, this whole shrishti is that of a vivarta, not a parinama. So the parinama is there because in the shrishti, at the level of transactions, it is important to have a creation which is also the form of a parinama. So, for example, to make yogurt out of milk, you need parinama. So for transactional purposes, parinama is okay. But when it comes to really examining so for example, in the case of a dream, it is very possible that you have made a yogurt out of the dream milk. It's very possible. And the dream is simply a reflection of our transactions. So there within the dream itself you can have parinama. But the eventual, if you dissect the parinama, you find that eventually this is nothing but vivarta. So therefore we point this out, and the Shastra also does this so well. It gives you lots of examples of vivarta. Its focus is vivarta. And so as a goal of the students of Vedanta, what each one of us has to do is to examine whether I can see my life as a vivarta or not. If I don't see it as a vivarta, I have to keep going, because that is the goal. I have to see my life as a vivarta. As a vivarta means I have to understand that my basic content is consciousness. It's what is called jnanam or samvit. Same words are used, jnanam, samvit, Brahman. This is what I have to see. And despite the apparent changes and the most important last vestiges of my non-understanding will be that even myself as a jiva, which is characterized by these two words, kartritvam and bhoktritvam, because my sense is that I am doing something, and I am getting the result of, I am the recipient of the result, bhokta. This also has to be given up eventually. This is the most difficult one. So let's start the whole process of first giving up my experiences and so on and so forth. But even this has to be given up. Because, why should it be given up? Because I have a reality which is deeper and more profound than myself as a jiva. And so this all has to be really collected together. I'm just giving you the path that we have to follow. So the path we have to follow is that the vivarta will become very clear to me, should become very clear to me, that really nothing has changed and something appears to change. This is the message of the Shastra that we have to really understand. And in doing so, the example of seeing something in terms of a reflection is a very good, clear method. So really speaking, as we have said before, I'm just giving you the collection of all these ideas, that it's not as though I don't have some reality. Of course. In fact, that's my only reality at the time, is that I'm a human being, I'm a jiva. I'm responsible for my life. I'm evaluating myself in terms of my history, my future, my present, my relationships. Yeah. This is very close to who I am, but this is not me. Just like a reflection in a mirror is just like me, but it is not me. And so the kartritvam and bhoktritvam and jivatvam has to be finally seen as also not real. Only the sakshi is real. And a sakshi that never changes. So the change of the sakshi is a vivarta change, not a parinama change. And here the hint of the dream state, as we have talked about it before, you should be very clear about this. The dream state has been specifically designed by Ishvara to give you a very strong hint about the vivartatvam of the whole creation. And we need to have to now extend it with my thinking to see that really even myself as karta, as bhokta, etc., even though it looks like me, it is really not me. That should be our goal. And that goal of seeing myself as not being me is very similar to a very close associate of the clear understanding of the whole Srishti being vivarta. It will happen. This is what our goal is. Until then, we keep on thinking about it, keep on studying about it. So in this in this Karika, numbers 27, there's some further commentary on this. So number 27 says, Sarvasya Pranava hi adihi madhyam antaha tatha evacha evam hi pranavam gyatva vyashnute tadanantaram. It says that pranava should be seen as a goal. The understanding of the Omkara should be seen as a goal where the different stages of one's experience come and go. They come and go. This has to be seen. Adihi madhyamanta evacha. So like a dream, they start sometime, stay some time and then disappear. And this is what we have to see. This is where the Shastras telling us needs to be carefully attended to, that you and I are really not a jiva only. We were something before we took up this jivatvam. And this jivatvam is going to wash out from us. Yeah, it was a big thing, you're just doing a lot of stuff and so on and so forth. And at the end of that, you get separated from it. You stay, but the whole life really just goes away. Just like a dream goes away. This is what we have to see. This is the truth. And it's a truth that has to be studied and absorbed. In this Gita class which is going to come, I think I mentioned that before also. This chapter number 6, which Swami Paramarthananda had talked about. The more I read his commentary, I think it's really spot on. Beautiful commentary. In there, we're going to study today in the Gita class also, which he said was that Nididhyasanam is like digesting the knowledge. So he makes a statement, beautiful statement. He says, what really benefits you is not your eating, but the digestion of what you eat. In fact, there is obviously there is a disease where people can eat but they cannot digest. Something happens in their body, either they throw it out or it goes through the whole system without, you just take it out without digestion. It happens. So really the main benefit to the body, the eating is just one start, is just one part of it. But then the real benefit is to really absorb it. What is it that it means? This is what Nididhyasanam is. And so, for example, it doesn't matter how many Upanishads you are studying, how much you've eaten. The question is, have you digested it? Have you absorbed it? And even one Upanishad carefully studied, carefully ruminated on, carefully thought about, really is much more important than reading many, many Upanishads. So this is what we have to do. We have to really think about, because that's what really will give us the freedom from it. So I think that the one thing that you should always keep in mind is, do I see my life as a vivarta or not? Because right now I am seeing it as parinama. Parinama is just in fact, elsewhere it is written there that if you look at the three kinds of students, so the A student, the B student, and the C student, the parinama is for the B and C students, and vivarta is for the A student. And you have to graduate to that point. You have to see how that works. So there it says that just look at it, that you are nothing but jnanam. As I mentioned in the last week's meditation also, and in the class also, that I should see the transformation, that I am not a human being with consciousness. I have to see that I am consciousness with a human body. My basic content, my reality is jnanam. And at first it looks like, what? What are you talking about? This is me, this is my body, this is my skin, this is what I'm doing, my thoughts. This is the beauty of the whole creation. It looks like that. But think more about it and you find that you are jnanam. And the jnanam, the consciousness, the awareness, the Brahman, has the ability to superimpose other things. And so then the jnanam is table jnanam, people jnanam, wall jnanam. It's purely jnanam, jnanam, jnanam. And so the jnanam remains, satyam jnanam. And all these other forms are sort of hanging on to it for a while and then dissociate. But the jnana remains the same. So I have a carpet jnanam at the moment. I'm looking at the carpet. And so there is carpet jnanam. And then I looked at the wall, and then now I have a wall jnanam. The carpet is gone, and now I have wall jnanam. And similarly, I have me jnanam. I am a person. My thoughts, that's also jnanam. Still jnanam. Jnanam, jnanam, jnanam. When you go to sleep, then as a jiva jnanam, jiva is gone, but jnanam remains. Beautiful. This is what I have to see. And at first I don't see it. My mind is too conditioned to look at it in over a length of time. But this is all what growth is all about. You have to see that really it's kind of like, when supposing you are a 13 or 14-year-old girl and in love with jewelry, you don't care about gold. All your drishti, your entire vision is that of, does it look good on? And then slowly you have to see that the reality of the ornament is really the gold. And the satyam is the gold. Similarly here also, right now I'm just too concerned about, I'm kind of like a spiritual 13-year-old, too concerned about things and my effect on it, my relationships, my future, my regrets. But in and through all of that, there is a jnanam which shines through. And my attention barely is held there for a few seconds, then I'm gone to something else. but this is what I have to do. So this is the Vivarta. Here is a very beautiful, very, very interesting story, really, from Ramayana. And so the story is very similar to that. At Hanuman, he is called Pavanaputra. He is the son of the wind god. His connection is just amazing. But he is just a monkey person, what is called Vanara. Vanara is not a monkey. Vanara means Vanara. So the words are, Nara means a human being. So is he a monkey or a human being? We don't know. It's kind of like, a human being with a different kind of a face. It's called Vanara. It is not a complete small monkey. These are like standing up like human beings and thinking like human beings. But they have some special qualities of climbing and so on and so forth. So this is the genesis of Vanara. Anyway, so Hanuman was a Vanara. And so now the decision made was, we need to invade Ravana's Sri Lanka because Sita is being imprisoned there and this fellow is not going to give her up. We need to really invade Lanka. So all the Vanaras and all the other people, they all got together and says, what do we do? They're all discussion about building bridges. Let's do this, let's do that. There's a planning meeting. Rama was also there, Lakshmana, everybody was having a meeting. And so they were discussing, what can you do, what can you do? Some different people were talking about, I think I can do this. I'm able to do this. Why don't you? I'll take care of that. In there, Hanuman was sitting quietly, not saying anything, and very humble and very devoted to Rama, of course, but not saying very much. So one of the village elders, who was also a Vanara, said, Hanuman, why are you sitting so quietly? Do you know who you really are? You are aware of your powers. Why don't you speak up? You're not an ordinary Vanara. You are a Pavanaputra. And as Pavanaputra, you can fly like Pavana. Because the wind can just go as it is now these days. It's so powerful. And speak up and come out with your own power. Why are you not doing it? And as the story goes, Hanuman was given a shapa. He was given a curse by something. Something happened. And the curse was that you cannot awaken your power until somebody tells you this. You are a very powerful person, but someone has to tell you. You cannot do it by yourself. It remains hidden within you, and you are never not going to really do anything. But if you are awakened, God knows what powerful you are. So at this point, Hanuman said, my goodness, you are right. And all those other plans of building bridges, physicality of it was just said, he went to Rama and said, I'll tell you what, I can leap this distance in one leap. I can fly on this, and I will light up my tail, and I'm going to destroy Lanka. And you just watch what I can do. And he did it. He did it. He was just so amazing. So, it's interesting. We have talked about the various pieces of literature that we have in Vedanta. So there, we have the Upanishads, and then we have Smriti like Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Sutra. And as part of this lineage, you also have the Itihasa, which is primarily two main ones, which is Ramayana and Mahabharata. And the interesting thing is, this is all well explained by our acharyas. The interesting thing is that in all of this literature, the goal remains the same. This is what's called Tatparya Nishchaya. So the entire Mahabharata, the entire Ramayana, is not just a fairy tale for your pleasure, which it is, of course. You can give it to the young children and they can enjoy it. But there is a singularity of the message, which is the same singularity as Upanishads. Same singularity with the Bhagavad Gita. Same one with Brahma Sutra, called Tatparya Nishchaya. And what is that? You don't know how powerful you are. Someone has to tell you. Each one of us is like Hanuman, sitting there quietly. Here Swami Maheshanji makes it so clear. He said, the fact of the matter is that you are Jnanam. Jnana means Satyam, Anantam. There is no limits to it. Lives can come and go, dreams can come and go, sleep can come and go, as we saw in the Mandukya. Nothing really is. This is Vivarta. You are the very Satyam Jnanam Anantam. But like Hanuman, you are not aware of this. And what happens is, because of the fact, not only are you not aware, you are wrongly aware. So it is not only the fact that your reality is hidden from you, you are so sure that your alternate reality is the only one that you don't even investigate it. How? Here Swami Maheshanji says, he says, let us define bandhanam. Bandhanam means being imprisoned. Being imprisoned is called bandhanam. And how are we bandhanam? It is like Hanuman just sitting there and saying, I don't know, everybody else is discussing it. He's not even participating in the general discussion because his own reality was hidden from him. And the bandhanam that we have is our indriyas, our mana. I can only see this much. I'm only here, I can only hear this much. So this entire power of the jnanam is hidden. And I'm only focusing on this small orifice. I'm only here, this much. No. So the whole Mandukya is to say that, listen, The whole thing is exactly like, it's a beautiful example, honestly. This Hanuman example is something, keep it in your mind. And also keep it in mind that really the entire set of Vedic literature is so well connected, has all such a focused idea. And the whole idea is you are free, you don't understand it, you fool. This example of Hanuman really struck home. He was so powerful, but just didn't invoke it until somebody said, hey, do you know your genealogy? You know whose son you are? You are the son of wind god, who's gone through not only this earth, but the entire creation anytime there is a wind. And this is nothing for you, just 50 miles or 100 miles. This is nothing. Just soar over it. And he said, my God, yes, I can do it. Similarly is the message here, really. And it's a very interesting thing that really the only thing that is really, after I learn all this, that the only thing that is keeping me from doing it is just seeing the power of it. That's all. I have to see this. It's a fact. It's not as though that I have to acquire the power. He's there. Praptasya prapti. Beautiful. What a lovely example. Anyway, so there then the second line which says, Evam hi pranavam gyatva. Once you understand the very significance of the turiya, which is nothing but jnanam, which is the very nature of all pranis, all of the human beings, all pranis. In the case of animals, they have to wait. They have to wait for another life. They cannot understand it. Human beings, it's available right now. And so once you understand the very element of the pranava, vyashnute tadanantaram, as we saw, then you become vyapakam. There is no place where you cannot be. And so this has to be absorbed, this has to be digested in nididhyasana. And if you do that, then you're free. There's nothing else that you need to do. Sarvan kaman samushnute. All kinds of beautiful things will happen. All of your desires will be fulfilled. Anyway, we'll discuss all of that later on. But that's the meaning of this. And I think I pretty much now see if there's something else that I wanted to. Here, the way Swami Maheswaranji has composed this book, which I've talked about it also, he does a beautiful job. What he does is, he makes a commentary on each verse in two sections. One is commentary on his own words, and the second section is he takes up the Bhashyakara, because we should realize that Bhashyakara, Adi Shankara, has not only written the commentary on the Mandukya, but also written a commentary on the Karika. And so then Swami Maheswaranji, what he does is, he now finishes his ideas, then he brings in Adi Shankara, and then explains his commentary on top of that. And that is about 4 or 5 times longer and more difficult And again, I'm not sure whether we have the time to do so, but I'll just give you an example. So here, on this verse, on this Karika number 27, he says, he brings in the explanation of Adi Shankara. He says, Sarvasya eva maya hasti rajju sarpa mrigatrishna trishnika swapnadivat utpadyamanasya vyadadi prapanchasya yatha maya vyavadayaha. And then he goes crazy explaining this. And I'll just give you a sample of what he meant. And so Adi Shankara, whenever he says something, that also is very cryptic. Very cryptic. And then that has to be explained. There has to be a reason why he's saying it. So he says, Sarvasya eva, he gives the following example. He says, like this, the Maya has an effect on you where you do not understand your freedom. Like this. And what is like this? Maya hasti. This is number one. Maya hasti means a magician who mesmerizes you by creating a hasti, which is an elephant, out of the clouds. This is a very common thing where the magician will say, tell everybody, look at these clouds. Do you see this elephant? And through the power of his thinking and the way he does it and so on, everybody says, yes. You see how he's attacking? You say, yes. This is what is called Maya Hasti. And I'll tell you why. So this is the reason why Adi Shankara has given this example. So Maya Hasti. Then the second example is the familiar one, Rajju Sarpa, the snake and the rope. There's number two. Mrigatrishnika. Mrigatrishnika means a deer, which is a known fact that in a desert, there are certain animals who get so thirsty and they have hallucinations. And when you see the water, apparent water on the horizon, they run towards it. And they can never find it because it is not true. This is called Mrigatrishnika. This Mriga means a deer. Trishnika means the very thirst of the deer. Swapnadivat. And then the swapna, which we are all familiar with. So different examples are given. So here Swami Maheshanji explains each one of them. Why did he give this example? Out of which I will just do Maya Hasti for now. Maya Hasti means that the phenomena where the magician has to be actively engaged to make you see things that are not there. Okay? This is called Maya Hasti. I also didn't quite understand because I used to see these examples, but it wasn't until Swami Maheshanji explained why is he giving Maya Hasti. Why is he giving Maya Hasti is that in the case of this example, it is like a magician. It's kind of like a, what is it? There's a person who does what is it called? When you make people go to sleep, or what is it called? Hypnosis. Thank you. So, a hypnotist has to be there for you to be hypnotized. This is the example of the Maya Hasti. And if the hypnotist ceases to work, you come out of it. Therefore, this whole creation, the wrongly that I see it, is due to a Maya Shakti. It's a Maya Shakti which is actively engaged in keeping this alternate reality in front of me. And so, in fact, I would say this, that the Jagrat Avastha is like Maya Hasti. Because the moment you wake up, there is an alternate reality which is forced on you. You're the one that is sleeping on the bed. Then you have to go to the bathroom. Then you feel hungry. Then you have to talk to people. Then somebody says hi to you. And then you go to a class. And then so there is a lot of stuff going on. It is all created by the Maya Shakti. As opposed to this is interesting. Opposed to this, Swapnadivat. In Swapnadivat, no one is forcing you to do this. You do it on your own. And you do it for lots of different other reasons. One of the reasons, as I mentioned, is that this is the most beautiful example. Otherwise, you can never believe what the Shastra is telling you, that this is Vivartavada. You'll never say, give me an example. He says, sorry, we cannot give you an example. Our mind will stop. But here, to show the Vivartavada, the dream is given. And during the dream, you are the Maya Shakti. So that's why that example is separate from it. And then some other ones, Mrigatrishnika, just to give you a quick idea, Mrigatrishnika means you are so thirsty for instant gratification that you don't have time to listen to Vedanta Shastra and so on. This is the 99.9%, even including us. It can wait. I just want to have some fun. It's available. And you keep running. And it's never going to end. This is the example of Mrigatrishnika. Adi Shankara gives all this example, and you need somebody to interpret it for us. Anyway, he spends a lot of time on explaining. The next page is Dusra Dishtant Rajusab Kadiya. Tisra Dishtant, he just goes on and on. Okay, so I think we're pretty much covered number 27. So let us start on number 28. May not be able to go very far today, but we will do a little bit. Pranavam Ishwaram Vidyat, Pranavam Ishwaram Vidyat, Sarvasya Hridi Samsthitam, Sarva Vyapi Naromkaram. So the way to understand would be Sarva Vyapinam Omkaram, Sarva Vyapinam Omkaram, Matva Dhiro Nashochati. So a new topic is now explained by Gauripadacharya ji, which is Pranavam hi Ishwaram Vidyat. That may you know that the Omkara is indeed Ishvara. And an Ishvara who is present in the heart of everyone. Samsthitam Hridi Sarvasya. Sarvasya Hridi Samsthitam. Having known this, if you can see this, Matva Omkaram Sarvavyapinam. Omkara, which is the present in everything. Already we have been learning about this. It is not as though it's the first time. But as a Ishvara, seeing the presence of Omkara, so Omkara and Ishvara are one in the same. The word Om refers to both Brahman as well as to the Jivatma as well as Paramatma. It can be your name or it could be Ishvara's name. Doesn't matter. It's the same. Because you're not any different from Ishvara. It's not as though Ishvara is limited by you. Ishvara is not limited by you. Otherwise it will be very limited. That's not the definition of Ishvara. Ishvara must be you. And so there is no difference between them. It's just a way of looking at it. It's just like saying room space and the rest of the space. You can look at it, you can define it anyway. This is what Srishti all means. That's why you cannot talk to somebody who's, supposing you have a 2-bedroom apartment and now your in-laws are visiting you from India and you already have 2 children. And now there are 17 people in the home. And then you say, this is all Akasha. And says, shut up. I'm having space problems in my house. And then you're talking about all the space is the same. It's ridiculous. Now that we're going to India, we're having similar dialogue. So all these ladies, they have huge dresses. They dress for the mehndis, for this, and everybody needs to have. The men can only just have a couple of things. So they're saying, can we put our dresses into your suitcase? So we said, no, you cannot do that. I've got to. So this dialogue is going on. Just my brother-in-law and his wife just left. They have 2 daughters. And so both their daughters completely took all their stuff into their parents, and they had no stuff of their own. So the space is not as though it is not important, but it's just a way of looking at it from that. So from a Vyavaharika standpoint, you have to look at it that way. But there's another way to look at it, which is, it's all the same. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. So for example, even in the case of traveling and so on, you say, whatever. You take my space, it's okay. Let me just make sure that I have a kurta pajama and a couple of underwear and so on and so forth. So that's it. That's all that I need. And maybe a shawl. Fine. If I'm hung up and say, no, you cannot take my suitcase. This is mine. Then you have problems. Then you can do that. And similarly, when you have 17 people in the home, we used to live. I remember I lived with my uncle in Matunga near Bombay when I was graduating from college. And so I had a summer job in Mumbai in 1961, just when I was in college. And my Mamaji had just one room, one bedroom and one room. So there are 2 rooms, and the second room was kitchen and a bathroom, so 3 rooms. I think there's 12 of us. And when I went there, I said, how is this going to happen? My parents, of course, they were my father was a mining engineer, and very beautiful home, palatial home and so on, with 6 acres and all these help and so on. And now I'm going into this. So in the first I was saying, but it just worked out fine.
One more.
Yeah, so we used to spread, our things on the floor, and everybody had enough space. And bathroom, yeah, that's okay. You have to wait for a while. It just worked out. But and you feel that I don't know. I don't think I can live there. No, it just happens. Anyway, so Sarvavyapinam So he says, if you were to know, you have to find out that Ishvara is really in each of the hearts. And we will see this. It's not just a matter of just talking about it. We will see all of that. Then you will be free. You will be free. And so we will discuss this in some length. And so I remember one of the things that Swami Maheshananji pointed out as part of this, which is all towards the end, so I'm just bringing it out as an example because that's all the time that I have. He said, make it into an objective. And that objective is, if you look at someone else and you can ignore their shortcomings and really accent on their strengths, you have arrived. This is a practical way of leading your life. Examine yourself. And the issue is this. Two things happen. One is that you make an artificial division between people that are mine and people that are not mine. And you tend to overlook shortcomings of your own people. Oh, he's just, he'll be okay. All right, it's all right. But the other one, you are close to finding their faults at all times. So Swami Maheshanji says that, looking at Ishvara, all this is theoretical. Pranavam hi Ishwaram vidyat sarvasya hridi samsthitam, and so on. This is just one of the many things. He says, make it into your goal. Look at yourself. How are you viewing others who are not yours? Are you focusing on this person is not good in the following things? Or are you overlooking them? And really focusing, naturally focusing. In the beginning it may be forced. But if you get into the habit of it, you find. And the reason you want to do this is not, this is an important thing to see, it is not you are doing anyone else a favor. You see, this is all meant for yourself. Of course, you should not be criticizing anyone anyway, because no one likes to be criticized. So that part, of course, yes, it is meant for others. But the main reason why you make divisions is because of the same reason that we saw in the previous verse, that this is bandhanam, this is your own imprisonment, that I am not like this. That person has problems, but I don't. You don't know how many problems you have until somebody tells you. But you have this artificial cocoon that you are in. This is me. And to open that up and say it doesn't matter to me. I'm okay. Everybody else is okay. And so this is the direction we are going to follow when we follow this particular verse, where Ishvara is to be seen, which is a fact, by the way. It's not as though, pretend as though there is Ishvara at all the places, just pretend. No pretension. We are already pretending. We are pretending that Ishvara doesn't, only is in me, not in others. These are all strange people. I have nothing to do with them. And so that's not true. And to see that is this particular verse given in number 28 that we will study from next week. Om स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण महीं महिषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः पृथिवी सस्यशालिनी देशोऽयं क्षोभरहितः ब्राह्मणाः सन्तु निर्भयाः सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ Questions?
I have told this story of Hanuman in our temple many times.
I see.
But today, the thought of jnanam and bandhanam is simply astounding.
Isn't it? Just
Never,
amazing.
never thought about that.
Honestly, it is just incredible.
So all our itihasas will focus on our scripture, the main scripture, the Vedas.
They all, so when you distill them, when you distill even the Puranas, the stories, Bhagavatam, so if you distill it, what is left in their distillation is Tattvamasi.
Absolutely.
And it is just dealt with in different forms, sometimes in story form, sometimes in tough, easy, tough, all those kinds of things. But that is the very beautiful thing. Yeah, this is what's called Tatparya Nishchaya. What is the purport of it all? So yeah, it's this Hanuman story. To relate it to us is something profound, very important. Yeah.
That was one good quality was considered in Mahatma Gandhi, and that he was considered as diamond Hira Parkhu, means who can see the diamond in reality. And he was keeping all the people with him, Sardar Patel, Pandit Nehru, Jinnah, and so many different kind of people, but still everybody was following him, because he will forget other things. It was so natural for him that shortcomings he will keep on side. And that was the success story.
Ashish?
Actually, I just had a observation. We were watching a show on near-death experience. I don't know if some of you have heard of Dr. Sam Parnia. He's very famous in New York. He's documented 2,000 cases of, brain dead, people coming back and what they remember. So it has, and then he calls consciousness beyond the brain or beyond death. And so there are these reflections in modern science that Vedanta has talked about in great detail.
Similarly, there's a lot of research on people who recall their previous lives. Lots of documentation about that. And so which is not supposed to happen because Ishvara didn't intend us to be complicating our lives from the memories of the previous life. But there's always exceptions to something goes wrong in that whole. But in that sense also, it may be a interesting way for people to have some shraddha that there is life after death for some people that might create a certain sense of Shraddha or not. So yeah, so like also there also, there's a lot of documented cases, happens all the time. Children are born at the age of 4 or 5, they start talking about their wives and husbands from the previous life, and it's all, they can be corroborated, yeah. So, yeah, I think that the modern science has a huge problem because they cannot submit to to the fact that this is all very well known and understood. They feel that I have to come up with something new. I have to come up with, so I don't know, I'm not an expert in how the scientists are looking at consciousness. But there is an obstruction where they do not want to submit themselves and say, you know, we don't know nothing. And the Hindu Vedic, you know, they know everything. That idea does not appeal to them. And so they keep on discovering things. Because I think eventually this is a very interesting thing to completely give up the jivatvam, as I mentioned. And this is true for us also, it's not just for scientists or anything, for everyone. I cannot give up the idea that how can I negate myself? But I have to do it. And that negation of the myself, me, can only occur if I have something better. Because this is all I can hang on to at the moment. And so a lot of the study is to understand, what better are you talking about? So the Jivatma becoming Paramatma is the better one. That's the Mahima. So when we talk about Ishvara's Mahima, I have to see that that is my Mahima. That's my Mahima. Mahima means the greatness. So that until that greatness is, we'll keep on studying this right here in this class itself, that until that Mahima is grasped, I am not willing to give up my Jivatva. But it will happen. That should be my goal. That'll happen. Yeah.
So on verse 27 we are talking about Gyan. Is it same as Chit, right? So
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay. I want to just confirm.
Yes, yeah, it's the same. There's only one, so consciousness is it's only one consciousness. It's all called by different name, Jnanam. So Jnanam is, I think, in some ways, the best way to describe Chit and so on and so forth, because it should be very obvious to us. Because see, as I've said it before, I remember when this was pointed out to me, it was mind-blowing to me, that our nature is I know. Just look at this. Everything that you have is subsidiary to I know. You will not be here unless your I knownness is there. I know. These sounds, I know. Knowledge. This is the Brahman. This is the Jnana. But the fact of the matter is that I don't pay any attention to I know. But what I know, I pay attention to. What do I know? But it's the greatness of it is that I know. And the I knownness is everything. It is independent of time. That itself is a very great thing. My goodness. that I am independent of time. That means I am never born. Therefore I cannot die. I know. And this is nothing that you have to acquire. This is your own nature. All we are doing is just pointing out to it. This is your personal experience, Anubhava. This is Advaita. I know. You can call it by any name. Jnanam. Jnanam is the best way, I think, to Satyam. And Jnanam, which is Satyam. Satyam in the sense, this is the only thing which is Satyam. That I know. I know in this third verse of the Dakshinamurti Stotram, Yasya Spuranam Sadatmakam Asat Karpartakam Bhasate. Yasya Spuranam Sadatmakam means Yasya Jnanam Satsvarupam. I know. You should see that I know is the only one which is Sat. Everything else is Asat. So the word Jnanam, I think, is even consciousness and awareness brings in the idea that I am conscious of something. But the pure knowledge, we studied this in the first chapter of Panchadashi, Samvit. Samyakvit. Samvit means that pure knowledge. This is my nature, I know. One should see this very directly. Yeah.
So can we use Satchidanan or Satyam Danam?
It's the same thing.
It's
Yeah. It's the same. All the same. Yeah. Okay. Let's see you next week.